Mike, you are there.
Yes?
Okay. And Mila says I will just wait for a few minutes and then start.
Okay. Okay. Well,
And
I can't hear her, so are you
yeah,
going to do it all?
and it's a very strange thing. There's a lady in the group who not here.
Okay, I'm having trouble. I didn't really hear what you said. Maybe not a good connection.
Yeah, I think so.
And I see we're live. My lower third isn't working, so I couldn't put it up. Well, hello again, CB.
Yeah, hello. So Mila, should I start?
Yeah, I don't know if we seem to be live, and I seem to be the only one who can talk right now. We're having some technical problems. I can't hear Mila.
So can you people see me or not now?
I see you up in the corner now, CB, and I hear you.
Okay. So so we should.
Okay, well, seems to be a host of technical problems. I'm in the unusual position here of introducing myself. Mitra is here, as everybody knows. I'm not able to hear her, so I don't know if her sound is going out, and we had problems with CB. So, okay. So I'm Mike Simmons. I'm the founder and the president of Astronomers Without Borders, and I was invited here to talk about some of the things that we do. And you know, it's Mila mentioned that it's about popularizing astronomy. It's many things. I started Astronomers Without Borders mainly to connect people from different countries. We're all doing the same things in different parts of the world. We're all traveling through space. We're seeing the same stars, the same sky, and we're just in different parts of this planet. And when we connect with each other through our passion for astronomy, we have that sense that we are um, together on this spaceship called Earth, and you know, we're one people, and we share that. And astronomy is the only thing really that does that. I'm going to show some pictures here now, and it sounds like we have CB there. Well, welcome, CB. I've just introduced myself. So I've got some slides I want to show, and some of these go way back. This is an important. Now let's see. I have to start screen share. In a little bit different kind of a start here. Okie doke. Okay, so I hope someone can let me know. I hope this is going out live. Is it
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah, I can
Okay.
hear. I can see that.
Okay, very good. And so this should be a familiar slide to everybody, but it's just one of a series that I have. In
Okay.
5 years ago, we had 100 hours of astronomy in the International Year of Astronomy. I still show these slides because we had hundreds of thousands, maybe 1 million people take part in this global star party around the world. And
Yeah.
it really was the most amazing demonstration of what it is astronomy can do to bring people together. This, of course, is in India, but when we look at other places, not so far away, Bangladesh here, they really got into it. They used our
Yeah.
branding, made their own T-shirts and so on. In Iran, we had people participating there. In northern Iraq, this is a telescope I actually took over there before that, in Kurdistan. In Baghdad, even, you know, this is a very bad time in the war there, and crowds were a target for terrorists, and there were 500 people. They said we're going to do it anyway, and they did. I don't even remember which country this is, but you can see that the teacher has the coat on there that is covered with stars. And here we are in Nepal, and you know, look at this. After a while, you realize these all look like the same pictures, but with different people who happen to be in different places. This is a telescope like the one in Iraq. This one is in the in either Bolivia or Peru, I think Bolivia. And a picture like this could be from any place. This is a solar image being viewed by a young boy in Romania. So these are the things that we see that we recognize. This is really the same thing. We all have music, but it's different music. But the stars are the same. And so we use that. And even when we look up these photography like this, I think this is not too much different a latitude from New Delhi. Maybe for a little bit more south. This happens to be in California, where I live. This is Yosemite Valley. But if you took this picture in the middle of India, you'd have different foreground, but the sky would look exactly the same. And we see the Milky Way. This is how you might see it maybe down in Sri Lanka or something, but this is from the top of Mauna Kea. And as you can see from the telescopes there, looking to the south. But when we go to the south of that, here is well into the southern hemisphere to Iguazu Falls in Brazil, on the boundary between Brazil, Paraguay, and Argentina. And you see the large Magellanic Clouds there, which of course are southern. So, and the moon, let's take the moon. You know, we see that rising and setting, but every time we look at it, we know other people somewhere else around the world, east and west, are looking at it also, but they're seeing it at a different height. Here over the Parthenon in Athens, Greece, here in central Iran, in Yazd, the moon rising over the skyline of Boston in eastern U.S., and rising over the Taj Mahal. So we see it every place, and at that same time, you know, there are times when we could probably see the moon at the same time, me in California and you in New Delhi. So here are some of the things we do, and these are just examples of some things. This is a blog that we have. Every member gets to post things. Now, this blog is inactive now. We're going through a major change in the website, but it's going to be really much better, all designed with special tools to allow everyone to share what it is they're doing, so that you can see, if you're a member, even a free member, what other people are doing. The clubs can see what other clubs are doing. This is school astronomy in Morocco. This is the kind of thing that space does in India quite a bit. In this case, though, they're doing the same thing in Morocco, and they're sharing that and showing some of the pictures of the students there. So this is perhaps a very familiar type of pictures for those of you in space in India, but the people are different. But what we're doing with astronomy is precisely the same thing. We do remote observing together. Now, this is an older program. We had one event in the south and one event in the north using remotely operated telescopes. Thousands of people join in. So here we're having a star party actually together, because we could have 10,000, 20,000. This same facility on the left, the virtual telescope, had 400,000 visitors watching for the comet near approach to the comet sighting Springs close approach to Mars. And so people have a chat box, and they type in there, and they talk to each other, and nobody even knows where they are. They're just all on Earth until somebody puts in, you know, where are you from, and then everybody types in their countries. So, and we have hangouts like this. It's an example. That picture there is a sharing from Vietnam, a connection with Philippines, I believe. So all this is designed to bring people together. Now here's a different kind of thing. We were asked by Carolyn Porco, who runs the imaging lab for the Cassini spacecraft, to help with the public outreach for the what she called the Day the Earth Smiled at JPL. It was a wave at Saturn when Earth was being imaged from behind Saturn, so the sun was blocked, and probably everybody remembers this and last year. And so this is what the picture of Earth was supposed to look like. Saturn darkened, sun in eclipse behind it, and Earth down on the lower right. And here's Carolyn here with the with some of the others of her team in Colorado in the U.S. and what we were expecting this to look like, but it hadn't been taken yet. And so we asked everybody to join in observing Saturn together and share their pictures with us. And this is, I believe this is in Karachi, Pakistan. Here in California, Sidewalk Astronomer. Very big star party in Argentina, and everybody wanted to see this. Well, here, these were some of our students at a summer program we do at Mount Wilson Observatory that I helped to teach, and we had the 60-inch telescope that night, maybe one of the bigger ones that was pointed at Saturn at exactly the time the picture was being taken. And these are students from, I think the bottom three are from the U.S., Latin America, I don't remember which country, and then at the top is a student from Sri Lanka. A very excited Caltech student at Caltech in Pasadena, pointing to where Saturn is, posing here with Saturn. Posing with Saturn in the background. The idea was to take these portraits. This is, I think it's Mexico, but it could have been Arizona. This one is Mexico, Guadalajara. This is these are employees at Celestron. Our marketing manager here, and some of the others here who and they're big supporters of Astronomers Without Borders too. So again, taking pictures in New Zealand with Saturn, in Iran, in the desert of I believe Morocco, someplace in North Africa. And even at a wedding, their picture was being taken by the Cassini spacecraft during their wedding. It was at the same time. It happened to be an astronomer friend, Jay Pasikoff, solar astronomer, and I saw him. He was on the way to the wedding. This is his nephew, so he had them pose with the picture there, so that we have even a wedding picture. Because when Cassini took that spacecraft, all of us were in it, including them, and activities here in South America or Central America, I don't remember the country, in Ghana, in Africa. And these pictures were all collected up and turned into a mosaic of Saturn with the spacecraft down here and with the Earth down here. So, and this is something we do regularly too. Something we learned from India, I think, because it's not as common here. But we have certificates of participation for people that organize and take part and so on. So even if it's thousands of people, we have event registration for these different things, and people get a chance to download these, different souvenirs that we might have. And here is actually the image. Well, Earth is down here. I can't even see it there. But if we zoom in, here we are. Earth looks like tiny little bit there is the moon right next to it, but when we zoom in, we can see Earth and the moon there.
Yeah, we can see the moon also.
Yeah, which is an amazing thing. So here's something else, and I know this is done some in India. I don't know if UCB or others in space are involved in this. This looks like a regular star party, somebody craning their neck to look up through binoculars, but when you look at the person afterwards, you realize she's blind. She's sight disabled, and she walks with a cane, but a lot of people who are legally blind can see just a little bit, and they might not be able to see who you are or anything like that, but they can see things that are very high contrast in the telescope. So this is something, many different types of thing for the sight disabled, like this, for example. This is a planetarium program. This is available. This is done by a university in Spain, and this is available for people to get, along with a number of other things that are designed for sight disabled. So this is a great kit called The Sky in Your Hands.
Yes.
And so this is, and I think The Sky in Your Hands is the planetarium show. The whole kit is called Touch the Universe. And so this is, they can actually feel the dome and listen to the narration. We do a lot of things with Astro Arts, and this has really been very big. And I know that we had some winners in the Astro Poetry Contest this last year in Global Astronomy Month in April. But there are other crafts, original music composed and performed by the composer you see in the lower left there, with some incredible images behind him. So it's a special thing, the concert, the cosmic concert that he does every year. Different astro artists, and this brings people from all over the world and many different things. Astro poetry is very big in Romania, for example. We see some of the poetry right there in the picture. So There are many things that go on there that interest people in different ways. Some of us want to look through telescopes. Some of us are interested in the idea of astronomy, the philosophy and teaching in public outreach, and here in using it to help people in disadvantaged countries. So this is Chuck Reilly, who with his wife Susan travels to Tanzania. They went there as retired ministers, as part of a Lutheran church mission, but he's an amateur astronomer. He brought a telescope, and he realized they're fascinated by it, and they have very few resources. They
Yeah.
don't have telescopes like this. He brought this along, but you know, this is equivalent to the poorest areas you'd find in India, with dirt floors, maybe a blackboard, no posters, nothing. And the most important thing is the teachers aren't trained in astronomy. They don't even have training, basic training, a lot of times uh, in sciences. So they have the laboratory. This is a small telescope that we actually are selling for fundraising, thanks to sponsorship by Celestron. And it's now over there where the teachers have been trained. There's a large telescope going over there. We had an Indiegogo campaign to raise money to send this there and build a center for science. And they're actually changing the way that science is taught. They're still using something that you'll be very familiar with in many areas, I think, of India. The old 19th century British system, which is the teacher
Yeah.
talks and the students listen and they take notes, and that's it. No questions of the students. They don't ask. The students would never think of asking a question of the teachers or even challenging them. But the teachers are being taught this. Teach astronomy through hands-on with different kinds of optics, with telescopes. They're having fun doing it, and they see the value. So this using astronomy to introduce STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It touches on all of those. It's universal. I mean, there isn't anything that you can't touch on with astronomy. So using that as a way to introduce science, it's going to change the way science is taught in Tanzania. And generations from now, they should have their own scientists and engineers if this is really successful. We raised money with this, but it did a lot of good as well. When the total eclipse of the sun went across Africa last year, we sell these solar glasses for viewing, but we lowered it in the bottom price and asked people to buy them for us to send to Africa. And we
Yeah.
sent tens of thousands of them over to Africa into the eclipse path here, to many of the countries here, Uganda, Kenya, Gabon, but also other countries where they had the partial eclipse in Tanzania for one, and let's see, some of the others there. Nigeria, we had a lot of them over there, and Ghana. And so this did a lot of good, and it's through sharing, because we have to have the contacts over there that we know that can get to the schools. It's the kind of thing we could do with space in India if there was something like an eclipse and we had something like this. But you have to know the people there. They end up out on the street being sold to people, you know.
Definitely.
So that's a way in which we share and we bring our resources and their networks together, and boom, we have something that's fantastic and allows students to do what is really the
Thank you,
only
Mike.
science.
It's been a wonderful experience listening to you, but we have told so much about the Astronomer Without Border, but now it's my duty just to introduce you formally to the Hangout people.
Of course.
I know you for quite a long time. I remember in 2008 when you came for the uh, astrophotography workshop. Babek and everybody was there, so I met you for the first time there.
Yeah.
So since that time, I mean, we have been interacting so much, both the organizations. So Astronomers Without Border is such a wonderful concept, but uh, let me just tell the viewers that you are actually the founder and the president of Astronomers Without Border, and your journey as an astronomer, it's quite long. You joined in early 70s the LA Astronomical Society, and you served as a president, I think, for two times there, and then you were on the board of directors for quite a long time. And then you found something what you call the Mount Wilson Observatory Association.
Mm-hmm.
It's a support organization dedicated to the improving the experience of visitors to the observatory. Normally, what happens to an observatory is that people go there and see the telescope, but they usually don't get to know about the happenings over there or the whole observatory. So it's a kind of a very good support organization you made just to make their experience more richful, so that when they go back home, they learn more about the stuff about the observatory rather than just being a observatory with a telescope. And
Exactly.
during the International Year of Astronomy, it was your effort to organize that one of the cornerstone project called 100 Hours of Astronomy. And I remember uh, during that 100 hours, we were continuously working with the kids and the masses, continuation of astronomy for 100 hours without, winking of an eye. And it was the largest outreach effort during that International Year of Astronomy. And then let me just tell viewers something uh, about the prizes or about the awards you got. There's a minor planet named after you. It's planet Simmons, if I'm not wrong. And it
Mm-hmm.
was, the name was given in honor of you, I think, in 2003 for your efforts in the varied outreach activities in astronomy. And in 2005, you received an award, Clifford W. Holmes Award, for the major contribution to popularizing astronomy. And in
Mm-hmm.
2009, Mike received the prestigious G. Bruce Blair Award for the given by the Western Amateur Astronomers for the, once again, as we know, contribution to the amateur astronomy. And when you founded the Astronomers Without Borders in 2006, since then it has taken leaps and bounds in organizing activities throughout the globe, and space also has been part of this for
Yes.
since its inception. And I think when you got the entries in the astro poetry and things like that from the kids who were like in their primary or the middle classes, so that was a really a thing which actually defines this word, that astronomers without borders. That astronomy does not need borders at all. So, and it's once again, it's a privilege to have you here in a hangout. Mila, I don't think her sound connection is working right now. So maybe we can just work out, or maybe we can just discuss how exactly one can, as you were telling us about the hands-on astronomy teaching to the students. This is
Mm-hmm.
what space is doing here in India. And
Good. Great.
you just told us that the old British method of being in the classroom, taking notes, and don't ask questions. So that seems to be a kind of a thing which is of the past now, because students have access to so much of information through the social media, through the internet. So now they have started asking questions, and then it becomes our duty to answer those questions. So, as far as astronomy and hands-on astronomy is concerned, how much do you think that it will have a kind of an impact on the kids of today's generation compared to the generation from where we have come from? We had learned astronomy by looking at the books and then looking at the stars. So now it's the other way around. So how what is your take on that?
Well, I think it's very important, and I think astronomy is in a unique position for this. It's a way for students, for young people, to do science right from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Even the act of looking at something and learning about it. And we all know the book learning is very good, but for most students and even for us adults, the hands-on is much more fun. And it's true, you're right. It's interesting. Instead of reading the books and then getting the telescopes, that's what I did because I had no telescopes when I was young. But to look at it and then say, what is that? And everybody's fascinated and wants to learn. It's it's the best way. It's the way we learn when we're little. It's how we explore and we say, what is that? And then we start looking more. It's discovering for ourselves rather than being told. And so this is very important. But see, the difference is astronomy can do that at any age. And it can lead to anything. If you want to talk about technology, you can
Yeah.
talk about that's used in astronomy and everything else. So I really am convinced that astronomy education, even at the earliest ages, is a fantastic way to get students excited about science and technology and engineering and everything.
Mila, would you like to ask any questions, or should I have my own questions given to Mike and talk to him? I think she will type in a few moments. Uh, coming back to the astronomy and the art combined, and we have seen so much of work being done in astro art and astro poetry. So I think that's you would also agree that that's the point where the science and the art, they mingles together and give us something which is very unique. Normally people say astronomy is a technical thing, but when we talk about art, it it more relates to the heart rather than to the brain. But
Yes.
amateur astronomers like us, astronomy is also relates more to our heart rather than to our brain. So astronomy and art combined together, I think that phenomena is catching up more, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think that there's something in astronomy for everybody. But some people see it differently. They are artistic in their being. That's their way of doing it. And they see the beauty of astronomy or they see the wonder of astronomy. They don't care about the equations and exactly what it is, but they look out and see the unbelievable variety of nature, the patterns, the things that we might try and write equations to understand how it happens. They see the result and they're fascinated by that. I knew about astronomy and art and even in poetry, some of the most famous poets. But I really never understood that there's sort of a whole other world community of people who are interested in that way. So I think this is very important. And then, in cultures, not just the art, but astronomy is in every culture. It's not true for all their sciences and things, but try to think of a culture that doesn't have any tradition about what the stars are or what the moon is or something else. It just doesn't happen. It's as much a part of our environment as everything we see every day. Just that in the last 100 years, we've sort of stayed inside with artificial lights and we've lost that connection. But it is a very important part of who we are.
Yeah. So as we can say that, as you have said, all the cultures, for them the astronomy was not as a science but as a way to see the things going around them, when they didn't have anything to work on. I mean, in the night they used to see the sky, they used to figure out what exactly a group of stars looks like, a thing which they can relate to in their day-to-day life, and that's how these constellations, these zodiac signs come up. And then later on, by using the motions of the sun, the motions of the moon and the stars, they came to know about the things which we say science these days, is that the time, how the time is measured, and direction, and especially the geography and things like that. So it's one
Mm-hmm.
way you have said, it's very true that astronomy and art, they're always there. And if I give you some example in Indian poetry, or especially the Bollywood movie song, they more or less, they sometimes they put the moon in that perspective, or because moon for us is a very, I mean, a beautiful,
Of course.
we say that in poetry and in any creative word, a freedom of expression. So sometimes things which they write, they don't actually relate exactly to that thing, but the heart and the mind, when they get both together, they produce something Really wonderful. And
Yeah.
Mike, there's another thing I wanted to ask is that when we say promoting astronomy worldwide, what is your experience in doing this bit to other countries? If I put US on one side, but your effort in the other countries, like in the African countries, which you were talking about, how how big that I mean effort is to have that kind of a astronomy setup for that particular country.
Well, and I see here Mila's also saying there's some questions in the Q&A app, but I can't see that. So I hope Mila can put them in there or you see them. We don't really spend much time helping or doing things setting up astronomy. The
I think
astronomy
your voice is gone.
is it
Yeah, it's coming, but
not good?
now,
Okay.
yeah, now it's back. Now it's back.
Okay.
Yeah,
So what we do mostly is connect the people already interested in astronomy. In many countries, they don't have telescopes at all, but they still do astronomy because they look at the sky and they do outreach because they tell people about it. Astronomy is unusual. If you're a botanist, people know what a tree is, but people don't know what a star is. They don't know what those things in the sky are. They really don't even know usually about what the moon
yeah.
is. And so they do outreach, but a telescope isn't necessary. So we don't have a chance to we don't have the ability to help people around the world to get telescopes or something like that. We get asked a lot, and we can't do it. You know, we're just a poor NGO, but we connect those who have it, and what we share with them is our resources, our knowledge, with each other, and being part of a community. This is the main thing. No matter where people are, if they think they're the only amateur in the whole country, but they can connect with people around the world and share their fascination with it with them. And we have a and yeah, so Mila, I don't see the Q&A app on mine for some reason. So if you want to copy and paste things into the chat box, I can answer them there. So we do have a program, a new program that's starting where we are sharing, where we are pairing clubs with each other, North America and clubs in other countries, and we have several involved in India right now. We're looking for more U.S. clubs to pair up with, and there are many activities there, and I don't have time to go into all of that. So this is really all about sharing, but through that sharing, doing things together, you learn about new things. It is support, and everybody learns from this. So, so somebody, let's see, Vikrant Narang asked if those were pictures from Observe the Moon Night. Actually, those pictures there were from much before International Observe the Moon Night. The ones with the moon. Uh, Well, they're all different times, but it wasn't International Observe the Moon Night. It's just different ones that were taken by some very good astrophotographers. One of our programs called The World at Night, and I say our program because it's under us. It's really run entirely by Babak Tafreshi, who's a well-known astrophotographer. It's about taking landscape photographs like that. So yeah, they're from all over, and there are people all over doing it. So let's see. I'll be terrible at these names. Niraj Ladia asks about the cosmic concert. Well, there are so many things to talk about. Global Astronomy Month is when we do the follow-up to that 100 hours of astronomy. We continue that, but expanded it into a whole month. So the whole month. The cosmic concert is one thing that happens during that month. And it is a Giovanni Renzo, a composer and performer in Italy, composes a new piece of music, and he performs it live in front of time-lapse photographs, videos, and other photographs like you saw behind him. So that's once a year, but it's a very special event because it's special music, and he's really very good going with these astronomical images. And so it's performed live. It's also available to see afterwards. And you can find the Cosmic Concert on our YouTube channel, I believe, or someplace I'm sure you can find it to see what it was about. So Global Astronomy Month, we have programs, dozens of different kinds of programs, all the things that I'm showing here. We are gearing up for this. This will be the biggest Global Astronomy Month ever, and it's already the biggest astronomy annual celebration of astronomy in the world. So so it will be very big, and there are all these different types of programs and more that I haven't described. That website will be live very soon. You can see the last one by going to our website and looking under projects. But we'll announce Global Astronomy Month for 215, the preliminary program, very soon. So now, Abhinav, I hope I can say these right. How can a sight-disabled person see through a telescope? Is there a special feature? Nope, there's nothing special. But we consider people to be legally blind here when they can't see well enough to do many things. So suppose you could only see when somebody's standing in front of you, you see light and dark, and you see it move, so you think there's somebody there. But you can't see any better than that. But if you look at stars, maybe the moon, different things that are bright and very high contrast, some of them can still see these objects in the telescope. It's an unusual activity. Most are based on touch, like the planetarium program. There are special books for the sight disabled. And but this is one program. It's actually done by somebody I know here, and I think it needs to be expanded to elsewhere because they can't see anything else, oftentimes. And so, yeah, it's a very special thing, but I know it's surprising. Astronomy for the blind.
Sorry for the network disconnection. I got disconnected, but came back. So there have been people who are commenting, and that, your presentation was such a nice one, and had got so much of information there. And now there's another question from my side: is that any new programs for the 2015 when we have the International Year of Light? So are we planning to do something in that particular year?
Well, I actually work on the IAU working group for the International Year of Light, and as you know, it was announced very late, so everyone's scrambling to do things. Astronomers Without Borders does not yet have a particular program for the International Year of Light, but there are some we're discussing, and we may have some things there. But the most exciting thing is that our platform, it's really, our website will have all the tools. There are many programs that we can do based on the website now with what we're doing right now. So, but from January on, all of 2015, we'll have more happening. Global Astronomy Month will have some new things. We have a total lunar eclipse here in North America. Again, very rich in those right now. And we'll have special lunar programs and educational programs. So there are many new things coming up, and that will be announced soon. And I think mostly we're still working those out for next year. So I would say stay tuned because there's a lot happening for next year.
Okay, and there's one more point as an astronomer, as an amateur astronomer. These days we are getting more and more into the gadgetry thing and not doing the actual observation of the sky. I mean, in all those citizen science projects, if you see, I mean, they ask you to either, I mean, do some kind of a cloud computing, or through your cell phone you get the light meter intensity and things like that. Amateur astronomer, we are losing that beauty of watching the night sky on our own, rather than being on a terminal and see something on the monitor, but actually seeing the thing in the sky and learning things.
Yeah. Well, this is an interesting question. And I think many of the people who are doing things like citizen science are not the ones who are going to end up outside at night on a cold night, all night, staying up. I think it's attracting different people in different ways, just like the astro art. The artists are not the ones who are going to be doing that. They have a different way of doing it. I think mostly it's just bringing many more people into astronomy. But I do agree, even with the gadgetry, like when you and I were young, CB, long time ago, we didn't have go-to telescopes. We didn't have all of those things, and we learned the sky. And I do think that people sometimes, even those who are interested in astronomy, don't get connected well with the sky. The light pollution is a big reason for that. But you know, many professional astronomers never go out to telescopes and do these things. So, and some others are really amateur astronomers themselves. So I think it's a mixed bag. You know, these other things bring more people in, but I really do believe we need to encourage people to go out and see the real sky for themselves as much as possible. Light pollution is another thing that we don't have time for, I know, but it's broken the link that we have, and most people aren't aware that you can see a dark sky and what you can see. So that's a very big issue, and I think that's an important part of the disconnect that's happening too. And CB seems to have frozen there. Okay. So, you know, light pollution, we seem to have lost CB, and Mila doesn't have her sound. so, so it's just me. But light pollution is another big issue, and it's something you're familiar with in India as well, of course. You know, I've been to India, and I hope to be able to come back very soon. I loved it, and I have many friends and much work to do there, especially with space. But it's a very important issue because you know if you think about it, just 100 years ago, people lived in the dark mostly, and the sky, night sky, was always there, and that was the inspiration for all the poetry and all the art, and people were connected with it, and now we've lost that for most people. So I think that's a very important effort as well, and I hope that is ongoing in India as well. And it looks like we are still waiting here for CB, but I think he's coming back now. Now I know that Space has some more Hangouts coming up, and 4:30 p.m. I see Mila put it in there, so I can say it for another Hangout at 4:30. Astronomers Without Borders is having a Hangout, which will be in my morning, but it would be later this evening. Actually, kind of late for those of you in India, but you can always watch it in the archives. And we'll be talking with Jean-Luc Amasia, the remote virtual telescope, with an astro artist who did a special graphic book on the Voyager missions that are now leaving the solar system, and also with Vivian White of Astronomical Society of the Pacific, who just came back from India, spending 2 weeks in Dharamsala teaching astronomy to Tibetan monks, and some very big surprises there. So, you know, but that is at 16 UT, so that's going to be after midnight, I think, in India, and no, maybe not. Well, 16 hours UT. I'm very bad at this conversion. But uh, if anyone's interested, it will also be in the archives afterwards. And I think 16 UT would be, I think that's just 9:30 p.m. in India, but I could be wrong. So Mila, are we waiting for CB to come back in? Well, I see the efforts going on to bring CB back in here. He's had some problems with his connection. Okay, well, it looks like this hangout might end as it did. Mila is there, but we can't hear her. CB has sort of disappeared. I think Mila would like to close this up. There are some other hangouts coming up, other talks for World Space Week. The hangout at 4:30 p.m. IST, and okay, it looks like maybe now CB is trying to come in there, and there he is. CB, I was about to close it up.
So I don't know, because for the past 5 minutes I was out of sync, so I don't know what has been discussed till now. So are we?
I just talked a little bit more and mentioned some other things that were related to what we were talking about.
Okay. So I think the time has come to say, I mean, for this particular hangout, bye to everyone. But before that, I should really thank Mike for, I mean, taking out your time and talking to us over here. And the other thing is that as we are going towards the International Year of Light, and as you have told us that we should be just looking at the Astronomers Without Border and site and see what's coming up. So I believe, and that's been my experience in the space with you, and that we have, I mean, done a lot together, and there's a lot more to be done together, and in the near future to come. And just before closing this thing, I should also say that during the World Space Week this year, the the theme was space for everyone, and it was primarily for the students to learn about the space navigation and all. And they worked very hard in these events from India, and participated on a very large numbers. And especially these talks which we have started, the space and astronomy talk, this was made specially available for the kids and the masses, just to have things so that people should learn more about astronomy rather than astrology in India. And we have done, uh, yesterday we did a talk, hangout. Today it's a hangout with you. Tomorrow I think we are doing a hangout with one aeronautical engineer, and then we will be having a talk with the hangout with Patrick Miller, Professor Patrick Miller, about the asteroid hunting, because he's also there with us for the last 5 6 years, and the work which students are doing in India, it's phenomenal. And let's hope we continue the hangouts and live interactions with you, so that students and amateur astronomers here in India get inspired by listening to you, and they get something more.
I CB close. I don't hear CB, and he has frozen. Mila, you want me to? I'm the only one with a voice here. should I go ahead and mention what's coming up and to go? Okay. So once again, 4:30 p.m. today. Amelia says to watch VIBHA. I have no idea what that is, but that's apparently where it is. And I think Mila is, yeah, well, you know what? I know that CB was going to close it up, so I'm just going to say, as I did at the beginning when I introduced myself, I'm going to say it was a pleasure doing this with space once again. Despite the technical difficulties, these things always happen to us. I mean, it's unavoidable, and uh, you know, we work hard to not let it happen. But the technology is great, but it doesn't always work right. Um, I'd like everyone to consider joining Astronomers Without Borders, even if the free membership, whatever it happens to be. And I hope to be back in India again soon to see CB and Mila again. And I keep planning to go back every year, and I've just never been able to make it happen. So maybe there will be something special in India I just have to go to. So CB, are you there, CB? Okay. CB, I think, is a lost cause for this one. I think he just got sent out again. So, with instructions from the director or producer behind the scenes, Mila Mitra, I'm going to say thanks for having me, and it's a pleasure, and I hope to do this more with you. I love working with space. You do great things. So I will say that this hangout is over now, and I look forward to the next ones coming up. So thanks, everybody. Okay. Thank you, Mila. Thank you for everybody, everything.